Yo. A question I have been asked a number of times in the last 3 months since leaving the US is, why did you leave the US? And since I value your time, I'm gonna get straight to the point. Biggest reason had to easily be cost of living. Now, I'll talk about those in a little bit more detail, but it helps to have a little bit of background. Context always matters. A little bit about me. I am Haitian, and unapologetically so. I grew up in the US, but Haiti has my heart. That is still my home, but we immigrated to the US when I was 5, shortly after my father had passed away. I'm sure my mom struggled with the decision of how to best move forward as a newly single mom, raising 3 kids. And the struggle of leaving your home behind. That's something that me and my wife had to navigate as well. Also acknowledging that while I love my home nation, not all the news about my home nation is always good news. I think we can agree that no place is perfect, and not every single aspect about whatever home nation you are from is always sparkling 100% of the time. That said, I grew up in the US, specifically in Massachusetts, and there was definitely a bit of living the immigrant story and that American dream, the pursuit of happiness. But along the way, as you know, I went from a 5-year-old to a teenager into early adulthood, and now as a parent and career man, it didn't all pan out the way it was kind of sold. Again, nothing is perfect and nothing certainly has to be easy handed to you, but there were a lot of things that happened that shouldn't have happened, and some things that should have happened that didn't happen. Some of that is my own luck and our own experiences, and hey, them be the breaks, right? Like sometimes bad things happen to good people and good things happen to bad people all the time. It is what it is, right? Take what you can get and live your life, do the best you can. As an adult, I found myself asking more and more often, well, why would my mom have made those decisions? Considering the life that she's built with her community and the home and career, why would you leave all that behind? Everyone's gonna have their own reasons. These are just my own, and you can rank them if that helps you figure things out, but these are very personal decisions and reasons. And you know what? You could go down the list and decide, hey, I'm good where I'm at. I'm just talking about why I left and why I feel this was the right move for my family at this time. I want to leave the disclaimer that we were outgrowing our house anyway, so there had already been some conversations about expanding the house or relocating and finding another house and changing our space and what that would look like in our neighborhood, in the tri-state area, and throughout the US, which led us to expanding our search. But with no further ado, in no particular order, these are some of the factors that we considered when it was time to make a move. Starting with the weather, and I would be lying if I said this wasn't at the top of my list. Lots of things to love about Boston. But damn it, is it cold. Harsh weather makes for hardened people, and hardened people do hard things. Let's go. But as I get on in life, I start to really pay attention to the things that I can control and the things that I cannot control. And weather is absolutely one of those things that is completely out of my control. I think back to just the general happiness that I experienced as a broke college student living in Arizona. But the sun was always out, like 90% of the time. And I'm that solar-powered creature. I struggle with vitamin D deficiency living in the Northeast. And that's a lot of people, actually. Like, I get seasonal depression. It is gray and dark a lot of the year. You get maybe 2 months, a month and a half, where the weather is absolutely beautiful, and being on the coastline, open water swimming, and the beaches and the vineyards and the hikes and all that is great, but I only get to enjoy them for that little snippet. So if we're traveling to experience the outdoors anyway, wouldn't it be nice to just live in a place where we could be outside as often as we liked? Which then leads to the cost of living of those places where we could be outside as often as we like. Now, Massachusetts, Taxachusetts, depending on how you grew up, is one of the most expensive places to live in the US. So most places that we looked at would be a reduction in the cost of living. But either way, my goodness, our short list really came down to Virginia, North Carolina, and California. And boy, the cost of living wasn't that much better in some of those places. Absolutely spoiled living in Massachusetts, knowing that some of the best schools in the country, best hospitals in the country, public libraries and stuff like that, all happen in Massachusetts. So going from there to just about anywhere else would be an adjustment, but also knowing that whatever we were earning would have to come right out of that pocket into accommodating for all those other factors, like schooling. Going by US standards, the schools in Massachusetts are pretty flippin' good, and it's hard to beat. Only a few other states are in that upper echelon as far as public schools go. Looking at some of these other places, we'd probably have to send our kids to private schools to get the caliber of education that we value and would want for our kids. Now that's different families. You may not have kids, so this section may not matter to you at all. But knowing the way that I was raised and what I value, what my wife values, it was pretty high on the list. And if we were going to reduce our cost of living, but increase the spending in private schools, or have to pay incredibly high property taxes so we could live in a zip code that had good public schools, well, we're still back at square one. And then still having to, all right, budget and finance and all those things continue to pile on. And speaking of those zip codes with the good public schools in the nicer neighborhoods, I'm just gonna address the elephant in the room. I kind of stick out in a US suburb. I fit a description, if you know what I'm saying. And that goes double for our neighborhood in a suburb outside of Boston. Buddy, there just was not a whole lot of cultural diversity. I mean, sure, you'd get some of the restaurants and stuff like that, but as far as meeting people that grew up similarly or, had a shared background, there was just a lot of folks who grew up here, their parents grew up here, and some of their friends had never left. No shade, but one of the elementary school teachers, sure, she went off to college, but was born in this suburb, grew up in this suburb, left and went to school, came back to the suburb, got married in the suburb, had her kids in the suburb, and now her kids are going to school in that same, so it's like very insular. And there's not a whole lot of outside thought. And this is true for lots of places in the US. A lot of people live their entire lives within a few mile radius of where they were born. For a guy that was born in a different country and immigrated to a different country and has seen different parts and lived in different areas in that country, it was hard to be in such a area of limited exploration and exposure. This is a true fact. What is it? Something like 28% of Americans have a passport. So sure, greatest nation on the planet. Fine. I'm not here to argue with you, but how do you know if you've never been anywhere else? You know what I'm saying? Go and find out, and you can always come on back. Which really leads to the next topic, and that's the overall environment. And I'll put it simply without getting into the nuance of the news and the politics, but the vibes have been off, man. So at the time of recording, today is November 6th, 2024. If you're in the US, you know exactly what that means. And I truly am hoping for the best. I'm not here for this side, that side, this one, that one, but for the health of my friends that are still there, my family who is still there, I'm genuinely hoping for the best. But very much like when I was studying in Arizona, it's nice to visit the nicest bits without having to live with the not so nice bits. The same way I feel about my home nation of Haiti. I love visiting, and it's honestly been a while since I've been able to go back and visit. We're going through some stuff right now, and I genuinely miss my home. Will I miss the US? Probably. Will we go visit? Definitely. Will I call it home ever again? I don't know. Truth is, my wife and I have been having these conversations since 2016 and thinking, wow, is this really the environment that we want to raise our children in? And since then, things have gone the way that they have gone. And that's as much as I want to get into that topic for this video. This is not that kind of channel, y'all. But going back to that original thought of why did my mom make that change? And seeing what opportunities it granted myself and my sister to be exposed, to be more worldly and have different perspective from the people we were around, I think that is the same thing we're looking for now. Offering some experiences that my children would never be able to have living in the US. Some comforts, some luxuries that we wouldn't have with the high cost of living in the US. And just generally a peace of mind knowing that we can cheer for you, we can come back and visit, give you all a nice warm hug without having to live with the day-to-day struggles of being a Black man in America. There, I said it. But what are your thoughts? Are you considering a change? Have you already made a move? Let me know that in the comments. No place is perfect. And you've got to go down, make your own pro-con list, see what makes the most sense for you and yours. But that's it for this one, y'all. Till next time, it's been real.